Welcome into the Michigan Football Report, folks. I wanted to get a show out for you today. Just got back to the Chat Sports studio after well over a week away, but I am pumped up and excited, and what an original first game that was for the Wolverines. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I've got six big takeaways or updates for you guys headed into the Michigan State game Saturday night, a Halloween matchup. We all remember that Halloween matchup in 2004 where Braylon Edwards went off. So let's jump into it. My six updates. Number one, Daxton Hill left the game. Was the second quarter, didn't return at all in the second half. And Jim Harbaugh was coy in post-game press conferences on Saturday, just saying, oh, he looks good, all that different stuff. Kind of Harbaugh's MO. I'll give you guys a little bit of advice as fans. Don't ever believe anything Jim Harbaugh says, because if someone's injured, he's just going to say they're working through something. If someone's doing great, he might downplay it. So you never really know what you're getting with Harbaugh. But here's the latest on Dax Hill. He should be practicing tomorrow. He probably could have played in a closer game if that would have been on the road against Penn State. They were down by a touchdown or something like that. I'm guessing he would have gone back into the game. Should practice on Wednesday. Was held out for precaution. But how about Makari Page, true freshman? Out of the state of Michigan, a top 300 recruit, 4-star, 6'3", 190. He looked great out there. He actually looked like the Joe Milton of defense. He looked really big for a safety position. Wonder if in the future, if he moves down to linebacker or hell, maybe like that Josh Uche rush defensive end. But as a true freshman playing on the road against a ranked team, he looked pretty good. I am predicting Daxton Hill will play on Saturday against Michigan State. How about my number two news, takeaways, whatever you want to call it? We're just giving you guys an update. The confidence of Joe Milton. He exuded confidence, and I've had so many conversations over the last 2 or 3 days with Michigan fans, co-workers, family members, non-Michigan fans, Ohio State fans, and I think what the biggest takeaway from everyone was, this wasn't like a 33 of 40, 600 yards and 5 touchdowns passing performance like KJ Costello at Michigan State, and it wasn't a 200 rushing, 200 passing like Denard Robinson in his first couple games. Yeah, Mississippi State, I'm sorry. Denard Robinson, he wasn't putting up like 175 on the ground and 250 through the air like he did in 2010 against UConn. It was good numbers. But what most importantly is I never felt like I have pretty much Jim Harbaugh's entire coaching tenure, and certainly all of Rich Rod's, all of Brady Hoke. I never felt unconfident in the offense after that first drive. Joe Milton, even probably the only mistake he made all game was on that first drive, which was rolling out kind of against his body, like blindly, almost right into a sack. It was the only time all day he was really hurried at all. We'll talk about Ed Warrener and that offensive line here in a second. But that confidence of Milton, as soon as Michigan got that first score, with Hill, and then once they got Michigan their third offensive possession and started moving the ball, scoring 7 straight possessions, I never had fear. Even when Minnesota cut the score closer than some of us expected, I never feared Michigan would lose, and that is the kind of confidence you need to beat Ohio State and to take care of Penn State and Wisconsin at home, potentially rolling to Columbus 7-0 in the top 5 with a chance at the playoff. But predict the score, guys. Michigan at Michigan State in the Big House, noon on Saturday on Fox. It is the Fox Big Noon game. This spread is something else, right? We all know how bad Michigan State looked. If you don't know, you should read up about it because they were as bad as it gets. But the Wolverines are 24-point favorites over Michigan State. I haven't done the historical looking because, like I said, I'm just back in the office after being away, so backlogged on some things. But I am guessing this is the biggest spread Michigan over Michigan State in at least 30 years. You have to probably go back to the early 90s or late 80s when Michigan was this, far and above away these Spartans. Over-under on this game is 53 points on Saturday. And if you guys want to make some money, because look, I don't see any way possible Michigan State keeps this within 35 points. And if you believe with me, you are literally losing money that you could be making by going with BetUS. So go to chatsports.com/GoBlue. Use that promo code GoBlue to get a 125% deposit bonus. What does that mean? You put in your first 100, you have an extra 125 sitting there. You put in 200, big baller, an extra 250. Put in 300, you get 375 sitting in there, extra 2-bet. Put $50, put $100 on the Wolverines. I'm giving it my James Yoder straight cash homie guarantee. Number 3. Josh Gattis' national coming out party on Saturday night. He is, in a lot of ways, I think Joe Milton is the talk of a lot of college football. I think there's 3 or 4 storylines coming out of Saturday. Certainly the Ohio State performance the second half. Certainly that Indiana-Penn State game. But Joe Milton was talking. But why Joe Milton is where he is because of the offensive game plan that Josh Gattis put together to make him comfortable, to never put him in positions where he wasn't, knowing where to go with the ball, where he wasn't fully confident in what he was supposed to do. And they kept Minnesota's defense off balance all day. Think about this. You come out first play of the game, and you throw a swing pass to true freshman Blake Corum. Joe Milton exuded confidence. I don't think there is any environment, including Columbus, that he is going to go into and let the Michigan team pull what they've really pulled for 5 years under Jim Harbaugh, which is completely going on the road in big games and having disastrous first halves and having to come from behind. And they've won one or two here and there, but for the most part, Notre Dame in 2018, Ohio State in 2018, Penn State last year, Penn State 2017, Wisconsin last year. 2017 Wisconsin wasn't that bad of a start, but that's Jim Harbaugh's MO, is they come out looking unconfident. Josh Gattis, Joe Milton, that offense looked super confident. How about the wide receiver group? You lose Donovan Peoples-Jones, who, to some people's surprise, made the Cleveland Browns roster as the number 4 wide receiver and had his own coming out party about 4:10 p.m. Eastern on Sunday when he scored a game-winning touchdown with under 15 seconds left for the Browns. And a hell of a catch, by the way, because the ball kind of went right through the defender's hand, DPJ falling away. And Nico Collins would be Michigan's best wide receiver, probably best player on offense, at least coming into the season, projected as that, sitting out. Tarik Black, some people say he's an NFL receiver. Michigan's best receiver is a true freshman for the first few games of 2017. The wide receiver group is an upgrade, in my opinion. Maybe it won't play out that way, over last year. I think we all know, and people gave me a lot of crap last September when I put some things out there that we were hearing from inside the program that Donovan Peoples-Jones and Tarik Black were kind of, it's a bad term to use, but I don't know what other term to use, cancers in the locker room, guys wanting their stats, wanting their NFL projections over the team, necessarily weren't putting in all the time, effort, and a lot of players, we saw that in 2018, Rashawn Gary, was he looking towards the NFL? I like this wide receiver group. There is absolutely no egos, at least right now, on this wide receiver group. Ronnie Bell has no ego. He was barely recruited. He's trying to fight for his spot in the lineup every single day. And they've got a bunch of sophomores and freshmen that were either under-recruited or haven't proven anything. It's 6 deep. All the guys got snaps. Roman Wilson got a ton of snaps. He was in the starting lineup. A.J. Henning got a ton of snaps. Obviously, Ronnie Bell. You saw Cornelius Johnson, who I had predicted as a starter. He might have already got jumped by a true freshman. So it is a group that is competing, is an upgrade over last year, and it definitely matches what Josh Gattis wants to do on offense. If you think about the speed and space, last year's wide receivers, DPJ, Tarik Black, Nico Collins, were the opposite of speed and space, in my opinion. But I'm going to ask you guys, what's the better wide receiver group? I know it's only been one game, but it was a heck of a lot better game from the wide receiver group, in my opinion, than we saw all of last year. Better receiver group, comment below 2019 or 2020. DPJ, Nico Collins, Tarik Black, and all the same guys that are in the roster now, or the backups last year basically being the starters this year. Obviously, Ronnie Bell was there, plus a couple freshmen in Henning and Roman Wilson. Next up, number 5. How about the defensive line's depth? You got play out of a couple guys on the interior that I don't think a lot of people even expected to make any impact on this year's Michigan football team at all. But you also had a couple key absences that I found a tad peculiar. So, on the played side, Donovan Jeter. I think most people have written him off, right? Been around for a while, never made an impact. He played great. He was in the right position. Snatched that ball out of the air after Michael Barrett's huge hit. Took it into the end zone. He was playing all the time. I thought he might get 3-4 snaps at all. How about Julius Welshoff, right? He's like probably 26 years old at this point. He's a third-year player, but he was already college age when he was supposed to be in high school when they recruited him, and he was playing all the time. He made a couple big-time plays. Chris Hinton, Mozzie Smith, I haven't seen the snap counts yet, okay? As I said, been traveling. I'm sure maybe Jim Harbaugh commented on say, I don't know. They put Chris Hinton in front of the media today, so I don't think it's a doghouse thing. But they both showed up in the participation list. But every time I looked, I was looking, wait, they changed numbers. Where are these guys? Hinton and Mozzie Smith were absolutely non-existent in the game against Minnesota on Saturday. And some ways that's good, some ways that's bad. You're supposed to have these high-end interior linemen come in and make impact. 5-star in Hinton, high 4-star in Mozzie Smith. Neither one of them make an impact first game into their sophomore years. And on the other side, you get a couple veterans that maybe you didn't expect to see at all in Donovan Jeter, Julius Welshoff. I think it's better for depth. Ed Warinner, worth his weight in gold. I am a big fan of Ed Warinner. I said 2 years ago that maybe they should just make him offensive coordinator because it really wasn't working out with Pep Hamilton. But 4 offensive linemen you had to replace. 3 of them are starting in the NFL as rookies right now. All 4 of them on rosters. And yet, Michigan's offensive line, not only do they look like they didn't miss a beat, they look better than last year. And some people are going to say, oh, Minnesota's overrated. Yeah, you can say that now. No one was saying that going into the game. Everybody I talked to in the state of Ohio, I was in Youngstown over the weekend. I went and watched the game with my dad about an hour north of Youngstown in Ohio. And everybody I talked to said, oh, Michigan's going to lose. Harbaugh's done. It was too terrible on the road. Blah, blah. Offensive line looked great. So I don't want to hear any of those revisionist history on what Minnesota was or wasn't on defense. 1 sack, I think. I mean, it's tough to tell what they call a sack, what they don't. No quarterback hurries outside of that one. And Joe Milton looked like he was just taking his time and just throwing the ball wherever he wanted. And, of course, gashed Minnesota when they wanted 256 yards rushing. I know half that was on 2 runs from Charbonnet early and Hassan Haskins on that kind of cut back. By the way, Haskins really needs to learn how to read holes better because that 60-yard run was on a complete whiff of a read by him. He went the wrong way and cut it back because the defense all went that way. But nevertheless, Ed Warinner is worth his weight in gold. If another program, pro or college, comes to offer him the job, you better give him a raise. You might want to just do it now, Jim Harbaugh, because a great offensive line year in, year out. Love the depth that they've got right now. A bunch of second, third, first-year guys. Ed Warinner, in my opinion, best offensive line coach in the Big Ten right now. And that is my Michigan football 6-pack. We'll be back in a couple days with another Michigan football report. Thanks so much for watching the show today, guys. It was a pleasure joining you. So why don't you have a pleasure yourself and subscribe to the channel by hitting this button right here. If you want to see my half-drunken post-game recap with my dad on Saturday night, I got that for you right here. And I'm just going to toss another Michigan Football Report video for you right here. Until next time, go Blue.